period assessment modeling approach. So, by the way, I am Bhubaneswar. So I'll request Professor Purohit to start the presentation.
And there are only two my colleagues researcher kind of model for two states. This is second one, another we have done for the Kerala. This is a new kind of technique we are trying to use it. There are reasons why we want to do it basically. So basically, I give objective, which is the kind of plan of this talk. Basically, local partner for Odisha can be two sides: mitigation strategy and amendment strategies. Our focus is on mitigation strategy. And there are several methodologies we can do it. We are trying to identify the methodologies we have employed here basically. There are two kinds of tools. One is bottom-up energy model. One basically we takes system model or this kind of energy models are there. They are demand to really projected externally from broad sector like agriculture, transport, etc. They are sufficiently disaggregated to capture all the possible technologies that are existing or can emerging. And so basically supply side attempt to meet this demand in an optimal point. Policy constraints such as environment constraints, business constraints, capacity constraints are captured. But only problem is that we are assuming the collected demand over an SDF is collective demand and over an SDF externals, price is assumed unchanged. Now when you are some technology, suppose you are over a 20 years period, this technology will come into focus. The technology price will change. Price will matter definitely over a long period. For 4 or 5 years, short period is fine. But 10 years, 20 years, when you do something, price matters, as you understand this. And also, missed out intersectoral economic impact on the sectors are not able to capture.
We have 10 to 12 minutes for the presentation.
So before just going to the details of it, just let me present something that is related to brief idea of the energy of the system. The electric power system, all of us know that we are having the units for the electricity generation, there is basically generators, and the devices that consume the electricity, the loads, and the network that connects them, what we call it as a power grid. The ultimate objective of this electric power grid is a transport of electrical energy from the production to the consumption while maintaining the acceptable reliability, what other people are talking about it in the morning, and the quality of the service, the voltage quality of the frequency, and it has to be acceptable to all the stakeholders, the producers as well as the consumers, and all this has to happen at the lowest possible price. So that is the objective of electric power grid. With this, how the global energy needs and resources. So energy consumption in the last half century has rapidly increased and is expected to continue. We are going to witness the growth, but for the next 50 years, but with significant differences. So what are those differences? The past increase was stimulated by cheap fossil fuels and increased rates of industrialization in North America and Europe. And while energy consumption in these countries continue to grow, the additional factors for the next 50 years make the things complex. For example, China's and India's rapid increase in the energy use, they represent almost 1/3 of the world's population, and the depletion of the fossil fuels, the human effort, activities of human on global climate change. So these are all our energy requirements. On the positive side, if you see, we are having different kinds of renewable energy sources, and slowly one or other renewable energy sources, or some of the renewable energy sources, finally showing the maturity and ultimate promise of fast competitiveness. So as one of these reports states that as much as 50% of our energy consumption should come from the renewable energy source, and it's not come easy or free, so it comes with the challenges. We'll see very soon. So with a view to meet the future energy demand by 2050 and beyond, it is important to know the extent of the available renewable energy sources, and we should be having the ability to fulfill our energy needs for buildings, food, water, transportation, industry, and the electric power. So how we assess a energy source? So if you see that we'll be having three pillars, so to say affordability, reliability, and sustainability. There are something like that, some sources which may be affordable, may not be sustainable, or which may be affordable and sustainable, may not be reliable. For example, if you take the PV systems, they are sustainable and nowadays they become affordable when they are operating in grid connected mode, but they are not reliable because from the morning to the evening it is going to change and in the night it is going to be zero. Whereas the other sources, they are having the sustainability, but may not be having the affordability. So like that, we are having any source, we will be having these features. And if you just look at it, these pillars closely, they are interdependent and they are interlinked, but at the same time they are having a track, different areas, we need to address. So in the new policy scenarios that what we are talking about, the rising incomes of an extra 1.7 billion people, mostly they are added in the urban areas in developing economies, push up the energy demand by more than a quarter by 2040. In fact, this data I got it from the International Energy Agency, the World Energy Outlook 2018. So there is a report after 4 years, that is 2020. Last year it has come. However, this particular details are not clearly given. That's why I'm using the data. But more or less the content is the same. So this increase would be twice if we do not have implemented the energy efficiencies and powerful policy tools. In fact, that was the question that was asked in the earlier. If the policy tools are implemented and the efficiencies are improved in the system, then it can be one-fourth of the energy demand will increase by one-fourth by 2040. Otherwise, it's going to be 50%. And all this growth comes from the developing economies led by India. So as you can see, that a simple example, in 2000, Europe and North America accounts for more than 40% of global energy demand, and developing economies in Asia is around 20%. So by 2040, this scenario is going to get reversed. Yeah. So the proportion of energy consumption in Asia itself across all the sectors. For example, you can see that Asia makes up half of global growth in the natural gas, 60% rise in the wind and solar, more than 80% in oil, and more than 100% growth in coal and the nuclear. So it's going to increase, whereas it's going to decrease at the rest of the globe. So 15 years ago, European companies dominated the list of the world's top power companies, whereas most of them, top 10, 6 of them are Chinese utilities. And increasingly, the energy trades, earlier it was moving towards the developing economies in Europe and North America, whereas it is moving towards Asia. Okay, so altogether, the convergence of cheaper renewable energy technologies and the digital applications, the rising role of electricity is a crucial vector for the change, central to the prospects of meeting many of the world's sustainable development goals. In fact, this statement, as I mentioned earlier, this was given by World Energy Council. And the important thing is that electricity is increasingly fuel of choice in economies that are relying more on lighter industrial sectors, services, and digital technologies. And as we can see that electricity sector is experiencing the most dramatic transformation since its creation. Okay, so finally, policy support and the technology cost reductions are leading to rapid growth in the variable renewable energy sources. That's what earlier the other speakers are talking about. These sources are not dispatchable, but we need a technology that makes these renewable energy sources as a dispatchable sources. Of course, not at the use cost, but at the affordable cost. So, putting power sector in the vanguard of emissions reduction efforts, but requiring the entire system to operate differently in order to ensure reliable power supply. So, we have some technologies, and we need to develop further more technologies. Along with the new technologies and the existing technologies, we have to coordinate and we have to operate the system entirely in a different prospect. Okay. These are a few brief statistics. As you can see that more than, in fact, as this really older data, as we mentioned earlier. So 700 million people, predominantly in the rural settlements in sub-Saharan Africa, are projected to remain without electricity in 2040. That is the status. However, as a country, India, the status I just wanted to mention here. So though India has made considerable progress in adopting technologies based on the renewable energy sources, we have to go it in a large commercial way. We are talking about 18,000 villages. If you see any website, people are talking about 100% electrification, but we are talking about only 18,000 villages. In remote and inaccessible areas are concerned, the extension of grid is not going to be economical, and still we are having unelectrified villages more than 1 lakh in this country, and they need to be electrified. So, of course, the responsibilities, if you see that the central government states that as regards to the remaining unelectrified villages, the responsibility should rest primarily with the state government. The government of India would, however, act as a facilitator to them. And importantly, as many of people who are in these electrified villages are not happy with the services what they are getting. So this is a brief statistics, and you can say that how the electricity consumption that has grown over the years. If you see that the percentages per capita energy consumption, if you see that the last column, we are as on today 2023 we are 1327 kilowatt hours. In fact, we are not even half of world's average in 2009. In fact, we are nowhere comparable with the European countries. So that is the status, and to meet this energy requirement, how our capacity addition in the generation, how it is happening. We can see that sometime back we have achieved around 10%, 18%, something like that. But in the recent past, it has slowed down. Even during the peak COVID time, it was around 4%, and as of today, it is around even today it is around 4%. So our electricity generation addition, the capacity addition, is not happening at the required pace. This is together means entire electricity generation, different types: coal, gas, diesel, nuclear, and hydro, and renewables, everything together. This is a brief slide. The coverage, they are talking about 99.94%, but the fact I have discussed, we have still more than 1 lakh villages in India which needs to be electrified. And our installed capacity is around 420 gigawatt capacity, and per capita consumption, as I mentioned, it is 1327. Transmission and distribution losses in our country, we call it as aggregated technical and commercial losses. They are about 20%. In this 20%, the technical losses cannot be more than 12%. Means the rest all 8% or 8 to 9% what we are talking about, they are basically commercial losses. Means they are not, the energy consumption is not being accounted, or even accounted, or bill not paid, something like that. And one important thing, you can see the shares of the consumption by different sectors, and agriculture sector is around 18%. And let me tell you, across the developing or developed countries, we see that this is percentage share wise, we are the largest we are having largest consumption in terms of the percentage. So 18% is used, and nowhere in the world having this much percentage of electricity uses in the agriculture sector. And as I mentioned earlier, share of private sector generation is around 34%. And these are all our renewable energy targets. So by 2022, we are expected to achieve 60 gigawatts of wind, 100 gigawatts of solar, and biomass is 10, hydro is 5. But as per our MNRE statistics, the next table, second table shows that this is the data that is there in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy website. And wind power, it is 44, but by for 2022 itself, our target was 60. Solar power, it was 100, but we have 72. Small hydro, we have 5. Target was 5, of course, it was there. And the rest all is the minor generation is there. So majorly in India, when it comes to the renewable energy sources, it is wind and the solar, but we are falling short of the targets that what we have said. Yeah, so this is a brief idea of our Indian energy sector, our Indian electricity sector, so to say, and where we are standing as a country in the global scale. Now, the challenges that what we are going to face is the integration of the renewable energy sources. Everybody is talking about the renewable energy source, and in fact, I also advocate for the renewable energy source. But as a researcher, we should look at the both positives and negatives, and how to observe the positives, and we have to find the solutions for the negative impacts, or we have to find the solutions for the challenges. the main challenges in the renewable energy integration was, the first point is the fault drive-through capacity. The conventional generators are in general synchronized or interconnected with the grid with the help of a rotating machine. And these rotating machines are robust machines. Even for the small transient faults, let us say T branch is touching the conductor, it is a transient fault. And your conventional generator is nothing for it. So it can override that fault. However, when you are having a renewable energy source which is going to get interfaced with the help of a power electronic converter, these are power electronic converter switches and they are very sensitive. Even for a short duration fault, which supplies or which is high amount of the currents are going to flow through these switches and the switch is going to get damaged. So we have to have a technology which can override these transient faults. However, it is yet to be developed. And the second thing is that load frequency control. So far we are having a synchronous machines or the rotating machines that are connected to the grid. So whenever there is a change in the load, obviously the machine is going to change its speed. The load is increasing, the machine is going to decelerate. The frequency is going to decrease. The load is decreasing, then the machine is going to accelerate. The frequency is going to increase. So in case of the rotating machine systems where our induction machines are the rotating synchronous machines are there, the power intolerance is going to reflect in the frequency, the system frequency. However, that kind of link is missing when you are having a renewable energy source because it is simply a static box, the power electronic converter. That is not going to reflect in the frequency. All our conventional frequency controls, what we are seeing at which we are maintaining our system stably, are going to be obsolete. They are not going to work because the important and the very vital link between your power and the frequency is missing in case of renewable energy sources. And we have to develop a technology which can address this problem. The next one is the ramp up and ramp down. So whatever the renewable source we are talking about, the loads are changing, the needs are changing. So our generation also should change at the same pace. I'm not talking about the days, or I'm not talking about the years. I'm talking about the seconds. The load keeps on changing in seconds, and our generation also should change in seconds. In general, what we do, seconds is we are yet to reach that second level, but in general, every 15 minutes we are trying to change. But when the loads are changing and when the power electronic converters are there, we have to change our generation output also as per the change in the load. And this is another challenge that we need to address. I think this is the last part of slide. And must be able to avoid excess fault levels. Of course, we should not be, whenever the fault is there, the fault level should not get increased because of the integration of these renewable energy sources. The next one is the island mode and the black start. So we are talking about the power electronics or the renewable energy sources. And many of these renewable energy sources can operate only in conjunction with the conventional generators, or only when the grid is alive, we can integrate it and we can supply the load. Because that is the difficulty or the limitation of some of the power electronic converters. If the grid is not there, we cannot operate, basically we cannot start. But that is not the case with the rotating machine. We can start the rotating machine even the grid is not there. The next one is to avoid unnecessary reserve margins. In fact, so Grover was talking about, whenever we are having the renewable and PV sources, we have to have the storages. So they have to be dispatchable. If they are not dispatchable, we have to make them dispatchable, we have to connect their storages. But a pure renewable energy, so that is a PV, as on today it is not dispatchable. So we have to develop a strategy and we have to develop a control system that can make these systems dispatchable. And the voltage regulation. So far it is our experience that many cases we will face the low voltage problems. But with the integration of the renewable energy sources, forget about the low voltage, we are going to face the high voltage problems, which is going to damage all our appliances. So we need to develop a solution for this. And the next, basically I am talking about the fast switchings. Next one is variability and uncertainty. These other speakers are talking about. Again, I am not talking in terms of the hours or the years, I am talking about the seconds. So we have to have the prediction, accurate forecast of the loads as well as the generation, because these renewable sources are inherently they are having the variability and the uncertainty. Increased effective droop. As I mentioned, these renewable energy sources are not going to get interfaced with the help of the power electronic converters. So because of that, we are going to lose the inertia of the system. If the inertia is not there, even for a small disturbance, our system is going to experience large variations, large oscillations. If the large oscillations are there, the system may become unstable at any point of time. So we have to convert our controls, or we have to have some virtual inertial concepts we have to bring into the system so that a renewable energy source which is interfaced with the power electronic converter can operate stably, even under disturbances. Power quality issues, for example, many times we are observing the flickers, means increase or decrease of the voltages continuously, decrease in the voltage, or harmonics. Harmonic means, many of you have studied about the sinusoidal voltages, fundamental voltages. But because of the power electron converters and the fast switchings, we are not going to have a pure sinusoidal or fundamentals. Along with the fundamental voltages, we are going to have other frequency components also. So when the other frequency components are there, we are observing this light. The light is not going to be stable. It is not going to be a stable light. Either it starts blinking or AC. It is running like that. And because the compressor is going to experience different voltages and it is going to run at different speeds. So it's increasing and decreasing the speeds. Obviously, the performance will be poor. In addition to that, the life of the equipment is going to diminish. So these are the different issues and the challenges we need to develop the solutions. Ultimately, my concluding statements are the replacement of relatively few large conventional power plants by a lot of small generators increases the complexity of the system and requires a new operation strategies as well as clearly defined grid requirements for RES renewable energy power plants. The change of power flows to the existing infrastructure may lead to the need of optimized grid operations and reinforcement as well as the extensions. So, the connection of the renewable energies to the network requires understanding the operation and control of different types of generating plants and often needs the studies to evaluate the performance of the power system to the new generators under both normal as well as the abnormal operating conditions. And finally, we have to study the type of the generator that we are going to integrate and what is the impact of this particular generator on the system performance. So with this, thank you. If you have any questions.
Repeat the question.
And if you find
From the academician's perspective, let's move to a practitioner's one. I invite Mr. A.P. Samal, so please, head of Nuclear Cell NCAER Limited, for his perspective.
Good afternoon. I think I am the odd one out. All our academicians and scientists have been interested. So people might be, many of you might be knowing NTPC. So for the sake of, for some of you who may not be knowing TPC, just I will go through the what is NTPC and what is RSF. So from the morning, I think it is already. So from the morning, coal is on firing line. So coal is taking all the burn, and so also NTPC. So if you see power,
Coal is burned for that.
yeah.
Burn will burn.
Yeah, but believe me, this is not so bad as it is perceived. I'll let you, I think at the end of my presentation, you might be get convinced. But at the same time, NTPC were also changing. Is the only constant, change is the only constant. If I don't change, then I'll face. Definitely. The way it is moving, world is moving. So this is my outline. Yeah. So if you can see NTPC as a pan-India presence, including the eastern region throughout the India, and we have all gamut of the sources of energy, barring one, that is nuclear. Except nuclear, we have presence in all the energy sources, and we are trying to enter into nuclear also. I'll come to that. So in eastern region, there is 5 states also. We have about 25 gigawatts of operational capacity. And contrary to the belief of this August gathering, we are adding even about 7 to 8 gigawatts of thermal power, thermal capacity in this region itself. Because if I don't add today, then tomorrow we are not ready to sit in the dark and without an air conditioning. Believe this or not. We all are advocating okay climate change and all things, but the reality is that if I don't add today, then tomorrow we will have to sit in a dark place, or maybe this conference will be पुराने जमाने में पेड़ के नीचे।
सर आपको मैं जर्मनी खुद ओपन कर दिया कोल माइन, तो आप क्या बात मतलब ये करते जाइए आप।
Okay.
So we need energy.
Yeah. Next. So this is how our journey started. 7th of November 1975 our journey started. And the first unit of similarly 200 megawatt was added on 13th of February 1982. So we celebrate that as a conference also on the 13th of February. And we are at 75 gigawatt, going to be 75 gigawatt. So if you see our statistics, every 10 years we double the capacity to meet the energy demand of growing India. Mostly it is from coal, about 70% is from coal. And now as I said, we are changing, we are adding other sources, renewable sources. So like solar, wind, hydro, and now we are going to nuclear also. So there is a slogan also. So every fourth ball in this country is lit by NTPC, power from NTPC sources. With only a 17% installed capacity, we produce about 25% of energy. So this was our business scenario. And if you see for the energy transition, as I said, we are changing. So you name anything required for the energy transition, we are there. Be it waste to energy, be it CCUS, be it nuclear, be it e-mobility, be it hydrogen, everything. So, but in a smaller scale, not in a large, that scale, which it will be sufficient to make the transition. So, core values, mission and vision. So, something about Eastern region, this has been already talked a lot, the mornings have not spent a lot of time on this. Only one or two things I would like to mention here. So, if you see the aging profile of Eastern region power plants, so most of them
one clarification, all the start of NTPC only.
It's only NTPC.
It's only NTPC.
No, the statistics is for total region. Yeah, this is total region, not NTPC. NTPC is 25 gigawatt only in this, and some solar, little amount of solar. I don't think hydro is not there. Hydro, yeah, under construction. Yeah. So the aging, if you see the aging profile, most of the power plants are new, not old, not very old. So that means they are efficient power plants, recently constructed. But there is also scope to improve the efficiency. About maybe 20 gigawatt. Yeah, about 20 gigawatt. There is a scope of modernization, right? Increasing, whereby you can reduce the carbon footprint itself. Yeah, coming to the energy scenario. So if you see the potential, we are talking about renewable potential. We have already discussed. Dr. Mayan has given a very exhaustive analysis of the energy scenario in India. This is about Eastern region. So if I go by that statistics, so by 2050 we need about 50 to 60,000. Madam also likely 50 to 60,000 billion units of electricity. At present level we are 12,000 to 13,000. So remaining 50,000 billion units has to come from low carbon sources. That is not renewable, which is not renewable. So we are just, if I say there is no coal, no gas, nothing is there, then nuclear is the only option. So 50,000 billion terawatt hour, that is billion units from nuclear, that means I need about 5,000 gigawatt of installed capacity. That means about 150 gigawatt every year I have to add in that 30 years. Nobody in the world has done so. Not at least the statistics doesn't say that. So nuclear alone cannot give you the energy security you want. For that matter, neither your renewable energy nor the nuclear energy can solve your problem. So you have to have a mixed approach to solve your problem. There is no other solutions. If you say renewable alone I can do it, so you will be in dark. It's not possible. At least the statistics, the studies doesn't say that. So this is done. Okay. Now what NTPC has done so far in its energy transition or increasing the efficiency levels, reducing the carbon footprint of all those things. If you see, we started in NISER in 1982 with a specific carbon of about 950, even more than that. If you see the state governments, many of the plants at that region, state governments, the specific carbon dioxide was around 1200 grams per kilowatt hour. So we started with 940 with an efficiency of 38%. So our mainstay in India is 500 megawatt KW turbines that is having a carbon footprint of 950, roughly 950 grams. Now we have reached up to 720 grams. So we have already reduced 20% of the carbon footprint from a coal power plant, without considering any renewable, any low carbon sources. So we are at here at 42% efficiency already operating, and we are aiming at 46% efficiency. Further reduction of 2% percentage point of efficiency, that is that will come to about 5% of absolute reduction in carbon dioxide. So this is one of the you can say our USP in reducing the carbon footprint. Then flexibility. In the my previous speaker was talking about flexibility. So what is if you say your solar is cheaper, how it is cheaper? But do you know what amount of stress it is putting on the grid? So that cost, that hit is being taken by coal. By increasing the flexibility, by just to match the variability of your renewable sources, we are spending so much of money on making our system flexibility. So where is that cost? Again, if you say carbon pricing again cost. Are you ready to pay that? If you are not ready to pay that, you say renewable is cheaper. Then you only use electricity during the daytime, that too up to 6 hours a day, and remaining hours you be in the dark, be without any electricity. That is not possible. So you have to add up this cost also, but otherwise then you go for storage technologies. Again, storage technology, what to store energy, where from it will come. So there is not sufficient in any place. Next. Okay, now we have come up with a concept like blue coal thermal power. Coal power from a coal sources with a reduced carbon footprint. Normally it is called a brown power or brown coal or red coal. I don't know what is that nomenclature. So we have come up with, and that is in this state only, Odisha only. That is Talcher thermal power plant. Yeah. So there we have this concept of blue coal power. That means, okay, we'll come to potential. Biomass, we are talking about biomass potential. So up to 20% of the can be fired through biomass. That means biomass is considered to be renewable. So 20% reduction in carbon footprint. 20% already by efficiency. I just shown 20% efficiency reduction by carbon by efficiency. 20% by biomass, 20% by CCUS. That we have already proven. The pilot plant is already running of a 20 tons per day capacity injection thermal power plant. So we have already demonstrated the technology. So that is to be increased. Now again comes the cost. You have to pay the cost. Again, I am repeating the same thing. या तो पे करो या तो फिर अंदर में बैठो.
सर एक क्वेश्चन है, ये CCUS में क्या यूज कर रहे हो कि renewable?
The plan is capture the carbon from the flue gas, produce hydrogen from electricity, electrolysis, then synthesis is to methanol, and that methanol can be used in your transport vehicles or anywhere, and you can utilize that. That is the plan. So thereby you are reducing the carbon footprint to 360 grams. From 940 to 360 grams. So, not that जो हम लोग बोल रहे हैं that what in the beginning I said, it's not so bad as we perceive it. That is possible. It is possible to reduce the carbon footprint up to 350 grams from 1000 grams. And still further to reduce that, I have a proposal also. Produce carbon sink. You can produce carbon sink for 300. You cannot produce for 1000 of course, but you can produce for 360. You can produce that. Now this is our plan. So the center white one is the thermal power plant that is going on reducing. Of course, we have to reduce, but we cannot eliminate it completely. We cannot eliminate it. We have to reduce it. Increase nuclear, increase renewable to the extent possible, and remaining gap has to be filled by your core only. Yeah. So NTPC is into all the concern about the environment, both the three aspects: land, air, and water. We are the only utility having the FGD, flue gas desulfurization units, DNOx burners to reduce the pollutions, then the combustion optimizations, then carbon dioxide. I have already said how we are reducing water consumption. Though the norm says is 3.5 liters per unit of electricity consumption, we have reached up to 2.7. Already we have reached. And this is like ACC airport condensers, using airport condensers further reduces to 80% reduction in water consumption. Then zero liquid discharge, then use of STP water. Wherever it is available, we are ready to take the STP water. So we don't want fresh water to use. Mass utilization, afforestation, all those things are being ready. So the solution, what I have already discussed the solution. The solution is nothing but so nuclear we have already discussed a lot. So I'll go to the solution. Next. Yeah, this is my solution. My solution is the least bad. No single source can give you the complete solution, cannot solve your problem. So go for the renewables as far as possible, as maximum as possible, exploit that. Then go for the nuclear, whatever you can add, whatever source you can add within the constraints, of course, whatever you can add. There are some different challenges also in adding nuclear capacity of requirement of the land. There are many resistances from the general public also. We have to educate them to increase the acceptability. Then thermal power plant, of course, you create a carbon sink to compensate whatever delta is remaining. Of course, as you grow and your capacity builds up, then you can finally eliminate the coal. Maybe, I don't say 2070 will be your goal to eliminate. You cannot eliminate that. Maybe at the end of the century you can make this coal power plants zero, something like that. So of course, reskilling we have already discussed a lot on this. So this, one thing I want to highlight here is why there was in the morning we were discussing why there is no nuclear reactor in eastern region. These 5 states there is no nuclear reactor. I think there is obvious reasons why Sir has already added what is the reason why it does not come. There are some other reasons also, sir. Because one reason is this is a minerally rich area. So a lot of coal availability is there, and people wanted cheaper power and employment. So that also was a driver to and the need for climate change or the pollution was not there at that time. So all these things resulted into against or the addition of nuclear capacity, but the time has changed. We have to introspect. We cannot continue with that philosophy. There is a paradigm shift in the energy demand and the requirement. So we have to rethink. This is the request for the policymakers, for the governments of the states, Odisha government specifically, to rethink and reset the policy. Thank you.
Now we invite Bhubaneswar.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't have any presentations, but let me share our views on behalf of industries so that we can really appreciate what are the challenges the industry is facing. Now I am thankful to NISER. Really, it is a wonderful moment for me to speak to you the policymakers,
the R&D organizations, IITians, NISER, lot of faculty members, researchers, really it is a feeling, and I hope you can contribute a lot what challenges we are facing. I am Bhubaneswar. I am the chairman of Electricity and Power Committee of Utkal Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Basically, I am a senior consultant in Power Tech Consultants. I am also a state advisory committee member to the Honorable OERC. Now, kindly see, industries are doing great in terms of Energy Conservation Act 2001. We have been given a mandate under ECR 2001 to go for energy consumption drive in 2011-12. We have been told to reduce energy consumption by 5% to 10%, which industry could do it through electrical conservations, through thermal energy conservations. But still, lot of more work to be done, but we have come to a maturity level as far as electrical energy conservation is concerned. That is VFD drive, energy management systems, online efficiency monitoring. So LED, your whole country has, earlier you are seeing yellow light, but you are seeing white light. We have gone for LEDs, so we have done pretty well. Thermal, definitely we have more mandate to, we need to do more, but we don't have that much of R&D. Perhaps here my R&D friends will be able to help us. Now you see the challenges. We have come up with a Samarth mission in which we have been told to use 5% of the biomass, a mandatory in 2025 that you have to use 5% of biomass. The policy has been framed, but whether the real groundwork has been done, where you have given a mandate to put up industries, produce and distribute. My mandate was not to go to the farmers, collect, aggregate, keep it, then make a pellet and transfer it. That is a mandate for us. How the model should work, that policy, research, Niti Aayog or you R&D organization should need to do. Industry definitely may support that. That is one challenge, for which perhaps we will not able to meet the Samarth mission mandate. Now second is thermal energy storage. Let us say conversion of recuperators, any energy conservations by going for thermal energy applications. We are doing pretty good wherever the technology are available. We are doing good in case of WHRE based power plant. What Odisha is there, basically from Odisha if you see, Odisha is rich in minerals. We are doing good in, we have number of steel plant, aluminum plant, thermal power plant. Whatever the waste is being generated from our DRI, from our alumina recovery, we are able to capture it and produce energy steam out of that. But what the policy maker has done, they have told that during energy transition, these things will not be treated as renewable energy because they are being generated from fossil fuel. Now you see, these WHR is one of the best carbon sink, carbon capture scheme, because once I am able to collect, recover that waste heat, I am not helping the global warming, I am able to reduce the temperature of the exit flue gas, I am able to recover energy and I am able to generate. So in the, if you see the green open access regulations, if you see the green open access rule framed by Ministry of Power, there one liner is there, WHR based power plant is not considered as renewable energy sources. But if you see section 86 1E of Electricity Act 2003, kindly note it, because you are the policy maker who can make a lobby or make a think tank that this 86 1E says that cogeneration and renewable needs to be promoted. There it has not mandated that it is WHR based cogeneration or fossil fuel based cogeneration or non-fossil fuel based cogenerations. So there for us policy interventions is required. Yeah, that is the one challenge. If you see MNRE people are there, I was not there in the morning, I am sorry for that. But MNRE, one approach paper has been submitted to MNRE by Ministry of Power, saying that kindly treat this WHR based generation as renewable resources. So what are the WHR energy sources? One is low temperature applications. That means wherever we have sinter cooler, lot of heat is going out. So can I capture that heat? Yes, you can do that. But that technology for us needs to be developed by NISER or for us by IITs. Low organic ranking cycle, that is a technology, but that should be available readily for the industry to implement it. Because I am not the researcher. So perhaps Niti Aayog or policymakers should advance this. I understand pilot will not scale up, but definitely some pilot is required. I appreciate the views taken by told by NTPC. At what cost? I am buying energy at 5 rupees. So I am ready to buy energy, renewable energy at in range of 5 to 6. I cannot buy 10 rupees for energy storage application. Battery storage is very costly. So, but if you can really go for good technology, find out those technology battery storage, definitely, and in long run, when aggregation will happen, definitely the cost will go down. But who will that technology identifications? Who will do that aggregation? That is the challenges which industry we are facing. Now let us come to another example of thermal energy storage, which low ranking cycles, small, low temperature heat recovery application. These are the technology perhaps we require our R&D friends, researchers to do very rapid and more advanced research the way we are thinking that our energy transition should happen. By 2030, I have been given a mandate of 43% of RPO target. All my industries have been given a target of 43%. Whatever energy I am consuming from my captive generating plant, I am supposed to buy or procure RE energy of 43%. Now whether I am ready for that? At that time when Odisha was surplus or not deficit in power supply, we have been told kindly bring your generator, install thermal power plant and you consume as a captive generator. I have done that. We have supplied energy to the state when the state is needing power. Now in the name of energy transition, what you are doing? You are forcing me to stop my captive generating plant and trying to tell me that procure RE power. There is a difficulties. Now fine, we are okay with the energy transition. Now let us understand, when I am procuring energy, RE power, I am self-sufficient. Now I am an importer, I am an exporter. Because of my captive status, I am exporting. I am meeting my own consumption, I am exporting. But at the same time you are telling me to buy 43% of RE power from the grid. State grid, if you go through grid code regulation 2015, it does not allow simultaneous export and import of power. That means I will not be allowed to be import. That means I have to stop my thermal power plant. Now as NTPC has just now told, solar power is only 6 hours. Who will give me the night power? Now if I must stop my thermal power plant, then definitely thermal operation has a technical limit. I cannot switch on, switch off. That means, and that is the investment I have made as a captive status. I am not a government funded company like NTPC. They can stop, they can dismantle, but I cannot. But I cannot. So kindly appreciate. So what we do? We need to have some kind of displacement method. I am giving a lot of input to the researchers. Kindly take up these issues before the policy level. Can I have a displaced method of power? That means I generate RE power at different places in Odisha, procure it, consume it, deemed consumption, but it is sold to Gridco or Tata Power or exchange. That means I consume the RE component, but that becomes my thermal power plant is being sold. So we need some kind of displacement method. For us, that is not in place. If that is not in place, friends, let take my words. These strategies are for industry may not happen.
RE police is there. Virtual metering.
Yes, virtual metering. Sir has told, sir, for virtual networking. What is the capacity? Tata Power is here. The capacity limitation was up to 500. That means, but my capacity, I am putting, let us say NTP, NALCO, 1200 megawatts. 43%, I am supposed to buy 600 megawatt of RE power. But by virtual metering, I can do only 500 kilowatts, which is, and that only LT consumer, individual consumer, household consumer are allowed, industrial consumer are not allowed. Again, in case of
RE policy has come up actually to counter these things.
Government of Odisha has done a very good thing. They have come up with a
RE policy does have such scope.
Banking policy. One banking firm has got, but banking the limitation is 200 megawatt. Maximum bank energy can be 200 megawatt for renewable energy, 30% energy of them. Because Gridco does not. Because if you see, Odisha is a very
And we are also encouraging the captive power plants they set up solar plants are renewable energy plants outside, and we are also giving scope to them. Those can be utilized in their own industries. And accordingly also some industries has come up to set up renewable sources. Okay, I am just clarifying you. No, that was just
I agree what sir was saying. We agree. But problem is that sir, mandate has been given. But I cannot be allowed to import and export. So we are trying to have bank of 30% of banking is allowed, and that budget will shortly come. These are wonderful things happening, but definitely to have a timely transition by 2030, there are a lot of challenges, which we think we should do jointly and collaboratively, then only transition will be possible. Second, I will tell that industry perhaps will not be a maximum energy guzzlers. Perhaps the building sector is going to will be one of the maximum energy guzzlers in few days or few years. You are finding lot of buildings are being taken over. So low carbon building technology, one of the important area which researchers or technology pilot should be available for the industries. Industry cannot do that piloting, industry cannot do that R&D, and that policy making for us industry will not do. But if you take to industry definitely will do the whatever is required as per the policy direction. But you have to create an enabling platform perhaps which is missing. It is the policy, whatever the provision we are making, it is not that we need to import only the technology from China's or other side or European country and implement here. We need to manufacture, we have to design that technology and manufacture those technologies so that it will really helpful for our national perspectives. Few examples. One is Odisha is rich in small hydro and waste heat recovery, coal. Now, how we have to penetrate more on green steel, green hydrogen. What Government of Odisha has created a very beautiful policy: green hydrogen, green ammonia. For us, we will be one of the hub and wonderful policy. And second, but small wind turbine, that is energy storage, pump storage. But pump storage, I have application of around 9%. Wind storage, wind basically I have an application of 1%. Out of that 14%. So there we require some technologies. Lot of small streams, small rivers are there. Where what is the pump storage capacity, what will be cycle efficiency? Those things for us is required to be studied by researchers and research scholars and R&D institutions, so that they can give me a platform. These are the sources are available, and small wind turbine, 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt. I cannot go for 2 megawatt in Odisha coastal, looking at the cyclone, looking at the various difficulties. So we need maybe 5 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt small wind turbine placed at different places in Bhubaneswar throughout the city, so that I can have the energy transition related to wind and solar and small hydro. So this is all. I hope I have put a lot of input for input. I request the researchers, IITians to collaborate with us. Definitely we are there to support, and whatever the best thing we can collaboratively achieve that energy transition. Industry is ready for energy transition. There is a lot of support from researchers and policy makers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now let me invite Professor Shankar Kumar to kindly share his perspective.
And to just give a background of Dr. Shankar.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I will give my background. Don't worry.
The book thing is.
No, it's not. I think the